Hello again. Thanks for coming back to watch some more chess. Have a little bit of time to get a game in, so excuse me. I thought I'd record one. Oh, I've had a rough few games lately. And we get a match with the white pieces. Werner in Germany wants to play a French defense, and I like to play this Chigorin line, at least recently. Joined the summer, June of this year. Okay. What's he going to play against Queen E2? Very non-typical move. Catches a lot of people by surprise. But that is the standard idea against it. Convert to kind of a closed Sicilian. I'm going to fianchetto my bishop and go for this King's Indian attack style setup. I mean, a closed Sicilian. Kind of surprised that he thought of this idea. It is, I mean, it's a good move. It's standard idea against the Chigorin. But I'm always a little suspicious of newer players that haven't been on the site for very long. Suspect maybe they're, created a new account or something like that. That may just be me being paranoid, not suggesting that my opponent is doing anything unethical. So I'm going to get castled. That's my next move. We're going to end up with this kind of closed structure where I'm going to develop my pieces, get kind of a small center. Queen C7. Surely he doesn't intend to castle queenside. I'm gonna castle. I'm thinking about this idea, but there's no immediate need to do that. Might as well just castle. I'm clearly going to castle kingside. So don't need to show all your cards if you can disguise your moves or you can wait till the right moment. Pawn moves are very committal. Can never take them back. Not that you can take castling back, but you can get your king back to that square if you need to. Pawns never go backwards, so I don't think he wants to castle queenside. That's just asking for trouble. Just giving me clear attack. I mean, it's not um, it's not immediately like threatening anything, but okay. Why does he go knight G to E7? Knight GE7. Does it support this? Is he trying to support the D5 push? That move seems funny to me. So my knight, my pawn both defend the square. There's 1, 2 attackers. I think I can push in the center. I'm not going to go D3 and play timidly. I'm going to go D4. And if he's going to leave his king in the center, I'm going to threaten to open the center. Now he surely does not want to castle queenside. He needs to get this bishop developed and get castle to kingside. I have ideas. That doesn't really, I mean, that would be a nice idea, but I think this push and takes just kind of, it forces me to move it again. And um, it clarifies things in the center. I'm not going to open the E file anymore after that. The D file will be open. I'd rather open the E file if I could, which is an option right now. I can attack this knight with D5. He can take, I can take, I give up a pawn. No, he can't take because it's pinned, because there's a pin. So I can threaten immediately. If he takes and I take back, the knight is pinned, so the knight must move. I'm left with an isolated queen pawn. This is defended. So he has to move his knight either to b4, a5, or b8. And b4 looks like the best square. The queen and knight team up to eye that c2 square, so I'd be forced to develop the knight to the edge to protect that square. So it seems a little bit maybe premature to blow up the center. I think perhaps I continue developing knight. Yeah, let's just continue developing. Maybe blowing up the center was the right move. I'll have to go back and revisit that. But with none of the queenside pieces developed, that seems a little premature. Besides here, I'm threatening knight b5 and attacking the queen and pawn. So he keeps me out of that square wisely. He would be forced to play queen back to b8 to defend his pawn, or develop the knight to some weird square. I think that doesn't look appealing at all. So wisely keeps my knight out of there. Now what about this? Can I threaten the knight now? Maybe I'd like to develop my bishop first. threaten to come in here. So if I develop the bishop to g5 and he fianchettos bishop g7, then can I blow up the center? He certainly doesn't want to take, because I take back. This knight is forced to move, leave the defense of this knight with the queen and bishop aiming at that one. Let's do that. If he doesn't fianchetto the bishop, then I'm looking at bishop f6, and he's never going to castle, kingside at least. So I think it's pretty reasonable for him to fianchetto and me to push and threaten the knight. That opens up the bishop to this knight, but I'm okay with that. If he wants to give up a dark square bishop and leave all of these dark squares weak around his king for a piece on the other side of the board, that's okay by me. So if I push, he's got the option to move his knight. He doesn't have to take it. I take. Bishop takes. Knight here. I feel like blowing up the center is a good idea here because his king is just still in the center of the board. He hasn't had the chance to castle yet. So it's now or never. Well, not never. You always end up blowing up the center, but um, now feels like a good time to do it. He moves the knight. He can't castle because this knight will be defenseless. We'll be looking at rook a to c1, targeting the queen. He takes, okay. All right. He's going to take the knight. This pawn's going to be weak, but now I've got weaknesses all around his king. Um, that seemed like a bad move. Even if I lose the pawn in the long run, I'm okay with that. I don't I don't see where he benefits that much from it because now I've got bishop f6. I'm going to defend my pawn. I'm going to target his rook, and his king isn't going anywhere. Um, so you still got to answer this threat on the knight. So he brings it back. He brings the knight back to d8. Almost at this point, I almost don't even mind if he castles. Like I'm just gonna have these weak squares in here. And that does protect here. Oh, the bishop's already on it. What are my ideas here? I really honestly don't mind if he castles. I'll be castling into some dangerous ideas. Bishop here, queen e2, e3, queen h6. I don't want to let him castle. It looks easier than trying to calculate all this stuff in the center. If I don't take the pawn, he's got the option of pushing now to close things off in the center. But that doesn't look too scary either. He's really tied himself up with these knights. He can't castle at the moment. He can't because the knight's hanging if he does. So how do I best exploit that? I don't want to take and just allow him to free up space. And I push in the center on E, on takes, knight takes. Really just want to blow this center up. Does have this idea. Okay. I'm glad I caught that. I thought of that earlier, but thought that there's so many pieces in the way that I don't need to worry about it at the moment. But now I do need to worry about it because he has this skewer. Let's block that. He can come here. I'll bring a rook over. But I think this might be a good idea for me too. Though now I've given him the option of pushing e5 himself. That's okay. I still have all these dark square weaknesses to work with. He's given up his dark square bishop, and that was a strategic error. I think strategically he may be lost right now just because of these gaping holes um, and his lack of space. Now that doesn't mean that he's lost. I mean, I've still got to convert it, but I don't understand what his ideas are strategically because he is just so tied up. His ideas are to make a cocoon, I guess. His rooks aren't going to be seeing each other ever. This knight has no home. This knight has no home. Basically, you can bring this knight back here now. Really like this idea. I think I want to blow the center up because he's not going anywhere. Get all this space. Black is so cramped. I do not envy his position at all. Uh, Bring his rook in and attack this pawn with the queen and rook. I bring a rook over to defend it. He can bring the knight back to its original square on g8 and attack the bishop. That gives me a nail on the f6 square though. Not too worried about him taking that. He brings this back, knight back. I take here and threaten the queen. Queen takes. Maybe pawn takes here. No, I gotta my bishop's undefended. I gotta do something about that bishop. Wow, that move has no purpose. It just creates space for your king to run. Why? It is I'm confused by that move. Your bishop, I think, needs to hold some defense here. The knight's holding defense, the pawn's defending, but that bishop isn't doing anything over there. Well, okay. So we carry on with our own plans and ideas. I'd like to open this bishop up. I think we got to blow up the center here. The king is tucked away behind all these pawns and pieces, but there's no coordination, and really just gotta to blow the center up. Bring a rook over. Okay. He really does not want to take. That's a bad move. Taking is bad. So I'm not under any I'm not under any pressure at all. White has all the pressure in the world. So this bishop's keeping the rook out of that square. That's okay. You can have that. It's going to add some power to this pressure here. White is under no pressure whatsoever. And black is fighting for his life. Probably ought to get this rook involved. Or do something to kick this bishop out. If he moves the knight, what do I want to do? Maybe I can just bring the bishop back. He's not castling anymore. Maybe here. Okay, let's just bring the bishop right back. He's literally got no ideas. I mean, get your other pieces involved, man. Create threats. Bring my knight in. Attack. If he takes here, that's a huge mistake. I can take, and then I have all the pressure in the world on that. Yeah, let's just bring more pieces to the party. I don't know if I can pinpoint where black went wrong off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look in the post-mortem here about where exactly they went wrong. Because the C5 idea against the Chigorin, and black simply resigns, there is nothing for black to do. He has tied his shoelaces together and he's just all in knots. Um, let's look at the game review. Good game, fella. I'm sorry. Sorry it was so brutal for you. Um, I played with 87% accuracy, and that is just a steady increase in advantage. Black had some mistakes. Obviously, I had two inaccuracies. Okay. Um, where did black go wrong? Okay, the bishop development. It calls an error, an inaccuracy, I should say. But it's not the end of the world. I have a 0.3 advantage. I develop my knight. He develops his queen, which is okay. Castling. This is a mistake. Okay. I thought that move looked funny in the game. That gives me a 1.3 advantage. I go from 0.7 to over a full pawn advantage with this move because his bishop has nowhere to go. It's a much better square here. The knight just belongs on f6. You've taken away your only development for your bishop, and you're not going to be able to castle. So I was right to push in the center to challenge immediately. Takes. Okay. You've got to create space for the bishop, so that's just given. That's a good move. Develop the piece. Calls that a mistake. Should have allowed me to bring my knight in, is what he's saying. That really, I feel like, would have created some problems, but white already has an edge in the position, so maybe you just deal with that because you need to get castled. You desperately need to get castled. No space. White has all the space in the center. I mean, black's kind of challenging, but I'm on the 4th rank and he's on the 6th rank. My my pieces are keeping his pushed back further. So probably just bite the bullet here and fiend kettle the bishop and get castled. Let me see if that's what the computer agrees with. Well, it wants me to break in the center immediately. But here, instead of, yeah, fiend kettle the bishop, give up this attack because the queen can defend it, and then you can kick the knight out. Okay. This was an inaccuracy. Did not like my bishop placement. So where is a better placement for the bishop? Do I move the bishop? I probably should just break in the center immediately, actually. It's best. The best move was d5. The king's stuck in the center. Blow open the center while the king is still exposable. And now breaking the center, that was a mistake. And I think I illustrated why during the game. That was an error. How is that an inaccuracy? If I don't take, oh, maybe take the knight. Does it really want me to take the knight? I don't know about that. Taking that bishop just gives me such long-term strategic advantage. I'd taking the knight. Oh. Oh, well, of course. It immediately attacks the bishop, so he has to. He's got 2 pieces hanging. Yeah. Okay. Well, when you put it like that, of course, he has to respond to. He can only respond to one of them, and I'm going to get a second piece. So that was a bit of a inaccurate thing on my part, but I'm still 3.3. I still have an overwhelming position. Calls that knight move a good move, but at this point, he doesn't have much else to work with. That's an error. That's the best move. Calls that a good move too. That blows my mind. What is your intention here? Are you gonna run with the king? You don't have anywhere to go. And my opponent resigned here. 5.6 down. Um, but material is equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Equal on pawns. 1, 2, 3 minors. 1, 2, 3 minors. 2 rooks and a queen. Material is absolutely equal here, but my position is overwhelming. There's just no coordination between his pieces. They're just huddled around his king, trying to fend off my very well coordinated pieces, all just aiming to rip him apart. So I appreciate you all watching. Please leave any comments if I missed anything in the analysis here. Any particular openings you'd like to see in the future. I'm happy to continue posting these videos. I'm really doing so uh, for my benefit, but I'm happy if others can benefit as well. So I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you next time.